The scope of the problem is huge. Off the German coast alone, there's well over 1 million tons of discarded World War ammunitions in the North Sea. The Geoscience Department at Aarhus University in Denmark has been working with the North Sea wrecks project, analyzing geophysical data of each wreck, like this sunken German submarine.
This particular submarine, it ended up being sunk because it itself hit a British mine. It didn't manage to place any of its mines, so in that sense, this particular wreck is kind of a high risk because we know there's still a lot of ammunition on board. So there's mines, there's also torpedoes and grenades, which we can see on the deck here. All of the mines that are in the top of the mine wells here, they are actually, we can see that the metal casing for those are actually fully gone. So we have a case where we have explosive TNT directly to open to the seawater. From all of our samples, we can actually measure traces of explosive in those samples, and that tells us that, well, we are having some sort of pollution from this wreck today, where the explosives components are being spread out into the water column, and also we can find them in the animals that are living down there.
But that is just one wreck among so many, and on top of piles of discarded ammunitions littering the seafloor. Off the coast of Belgium, a team from the Flanders Marine Institute is going to dive down to the wreck of the HMS Basilisk. They're attaching bags of mussels on top of ammunitions and exposed explosives. They're also taking samples from the wreck and the seafloor. These will be analyzed to determine if toxic substances from the explosives are leaking into the surrounding marine environment, and if so, to what levels. To hear firsthand what the project's testing has found, we headed to Kiel in Germany, where the Institute of Toxicology at Kiel University has been working with the North Sea Wrecks project. The head of the program says mussels are key to properly understanding the threat posed by leaking munitions.
And the mussels, the blue mussel, is an ideal organism to measure contaminations in the marine environment, because these are sedentary species. They filter water several liters per hour, and they accumulate all this toxic stuff inside their body. So what we did was then we exposed mussels with the help of divers at different places of interest, and then we recollected them after 3 months. We put them into our lab, we prepared them, we extracted all this stuff, and then with our high technical machines, we were then able indeed to detect munition compounds, this explosive stuff, in the mussels themselves.
The toxicology lab says testing results over the years have produced extremely concerning results. Toxic pollution levels have been steadily increasing every year as the salt water eats away more and more of the metal casing around the explosives.
And when we consider that we have at these free-line chunks the 50-fold higher concentrations of explosives in muscle tissue, the toxicological risk assessment tells us that these mussels cannot be eaten because we have this cancerogenic risk.
And it's not just mussels. Over in the Baltic Sea, there's unnerving test results from fish in water around ammunition dump sites.
This was a surprising finding. So when we calculate amounts occurring in fish, the seafood consumer, the fish consumer, is safe at the moment. But the colleagues from us found in these sea dump munition areas a 25% occurrence of liver tumors in these fish. So that means we have evidence that the TNT is harmful or is threatening the marine environment.
As the seawater continues to eat away at the metal casings around World War-era weapons, the leaking of dangerous toxic substances and the risks they pose will continue to increase. This raises the question of how long can this go on until pollution levels in the marine environment on fish and other marine life reach levels where they pose a direct threat to humans.
We are considering in our consortium that maybe a time frame of 30, 40, 50 years is the critical time point where this will happen, that the metal shells will have been corroded completely.
The issue of World War wrecks and dangerous munitions comes as no surprise to the head of GeoXYZ, a Belgian company providing geophysical services to offshore and marine clients.
This is certainly an issue on every project, every marine cable which is being installed or an offshore wind farm which is being developed. You want to know the risk of finding an unexploded ordnance. So with every project, we There's a big campaign with magnetometers, which are sensors which are flown just above the seabed, to be able to identify any potential objects. So it's certainly a big question for industry.
Unlike other ocean pollutants like microplastics or pharmaceuticals, World War ammunitions are, if we act quickly enough, easier to remove.
Nowadays, the munition is packed in torpedo heads and in corroding mines and in water bombs, and we can now pick them up and recollect them and try to get rid of them by remediation.
But the challenges are steep, and they're further complicated by politics. World War wrecks are considered war cemeteries and property of the government each vessel belongs to.
I think the most critical step is probably to get the politicians to act on it, because I mean you can do a lot, but it's also very costly. So somebody has to decide what's going to be done, and that's also why I think the North Sea Wreck project is really good, because we're trying to get unified strategies for the countries around the North Sea to handle this problem.
50 years, tops. The clock is ticking to deal with World War weapons in the North Sea, which 7 decades after the end of World War II could once again pose a threat to human life if we don't act.